It's official. 2015 has been named the warmest year on record, according to the World Meteorological Organization's annual State of the Climate report. Meteorologists caution that the heat will carry on as climate change wreaks havoc on the Earth's ecosystem. The biggest culprit was an exceptionally strong El Niño effect, a weather phenomenon which raised ocean temperatures. Another is the alarming rise of carbon dioxide levels as a result of greenhouse gas emissions. While the effects of El Niño may be hard to predict, countries can certainly do their part to reduce carbon emissions. In this segment, we look at ASEAN's efforts to mitigate climate change and how Singapore is promoting sustainability to achieve its aim of becoming a flourishing green city by 2030. Last December, the Paris Agreement was finally sealed. 195 nations approved the landmark agreement, which required governments to submit plans detailing their emission reduction strategies after 2020. Now, it will be up to each country to keep to its commitments.
This is not just about legal promises. This is important for the future of the Earth. And if we all do not meet our commitments, we all know that climate change will bring higher temperatures for everybody and more intense and bad weather that we have to cope with if we do nothing.
For ASEAN, the stakes are high. The region has experienced firsthand the effects of global warming in the form of typhoons, floods, as well as severe drought. As such, although not the main source of significant emission of greenhouse gases, member nations have taken action to address the problem through various environmental, economic, and social activities. At the ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Environment in Vietnam in October 2015, they signed a statement outlining each country's sustainable development goals. The statement was later presented to the Paris Conference. In 2012, Singapore released its climate change strategy, and in 2014 launched the Sustainable Singapore Blueprint and pledged to commit $1 billion over 5 years. The money is for initiatives such as building eco-smart living spaces that come with smart technologies. Other projects include enhancing Singapore's rail and bus networks, lengthening cycling paths, and launching bicycle sharing schemes, all to achieve a car-light society. In addition, more sky-rise greenery will be built and enhancements made to community spaces. In July 2016, Singapore unveiled a new action plan to mitigate climate change. Measures will include a new heat stress information system to help the public better plan their outdoor activities. There will also be efforts to deal with managing water supply, food security, and coastal protection. Stiffer action, such as imposing heavier fines, will be taken against motorists caught leaving their vehicle engines idling. From 2020, all newly registered motorcycles must comply with stricter standards, which will halve their pollutant emissions.
Between 15 and 17% of our emissions are connected with transportation. So more and more public transportation and the more possibility of eco-friendly vehicles and Car Light Singapore would also contribute to lowering our carbon emissions.
Professor Mai Salka was speaking at a National Climate Change Youth Conference in Singapore, a biennial event attended by over 200 students. The youths were encouraged to take action to reduce their personal carbon footprint and do their part in the fight against climate change. As a long-term goal, this is what ASEAN hopes to achieve: involve more young adults in loving and protecting the environment. In April, Singapore hosted the ASEAN +3 Youth Environment Forum, the first time it did so. Mr. Maksagos said it was critical that youths have a vested interest in building a sustainable world.
What we are building is actually for their future. And to ensure that what we are building is also sustainable requires all of us to make adjustments in our lifestyle, in how we contribute towards the waste and the pollution that we are producing to the environment. And therefore, if we start them young and know that there are things they can do on their own and their groups, I think we'll start them in a good way.
About 150 youths joined in the event to exchange ideas on conservation, to think about their ideal future environment and make an action plan. One participant from Brunei was inspired by Singapore's success in its Active, Beautiful, Clean or ABC Waters program.
I really like that idea of that, even if it's 10 years long, it's worthwhile in the end. Yes, so I plan to do more research on that so that we can hopefully do something that's doable in Brunei.
In Singapore, other programs for youths have been gaining momentum. One is the Sustainability Mentorship Program aimed at young adults passionate about the environment. The project, which has been expanded, will now last longer and cover a wider range of green issues. 21-year-old Shankar took part in the first program and now conducts nature walks as a volunteer.
We learned a lot about collaboration with other green groups in Singapore, and for example, let's say we're doing a guided walk in a particular area. We don't want to clash with other groups that are already doing guided walks. I did learn a lot from some of the mentors about how to interact with the public and how to spread the message, not only offline but also online.
Another young trailblazer is student Gauri Shukla, who was so affected by the haze last year, she set up the Students of Singapore or SOS campaign against haze. The 14-year-old visited Sumatra recently, a reward from a contest.
After I came back from this trip, I learned a lot about the haze problem, firstly, and I was able to relate to it, because before I would just read all of these, read about the haze problem online, but I was able to see these orangutans, I was able to see big palm oil plantations and trees being burnt down in front of my eyes, and this really got me more passionate about what I do.
Gauri plans to bring her message about the importance of sustainability to other schools in Singapore.
It is still not too late to save Mother Earth. With the efforts and commitment of people, businesses and countries around the world, there is still a chance to fight against any future damage that climate change may inflict upon us.